Yes, yes, yes. We are back with another Cajun Libertarian Live. Thank all of you for tuning in. Get in the comments. Y'all are just as much a part of this as we are. Real quick, I do have a severe weather alert going on. It was raining like rocks, hail, just a few minutes ago. So if the power cuts out, we'll make a quick adjustment, and then we'll get right back to it. So anyway, without further ado, you all know her. She's got like 13,000 followers. She's an engineer and entrepreneur, a big voice in the liberty movement. So, Eskimo Libertarian.
Hey.
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. I've never been introduced like that. So,
oh, really?
I feel pretty good.
Wow. Very good. That's awesome. So, how are things up there with you in Alaska?
Freezing. This morning it was in the negatives, and I'm just trying to stay warm, even though it's April. Yeah, things are great up here. The caribou are being born, and Alaskan stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. I find that region extremely intriguing. So I really wanted to ask you about it. So, and we were just talking right before we started this, y'all, about the weather and all that. And I was telling her I had messaged her earlier and said that it was going to be extreme weather. And then like literally right before we started, it was about to start raining hail like crazy. I've never seen it before. And then you said, what's it like up there right now?
It's above the negatives now, so we're in the positives, but I'm still trying to stay warm.
That's crazy. So I've got the AC going. It's 80 degrees here. I'm in flip-flops and shorts, which is awesome, but the severe weather might take a toll. It sounds like it's calming down. So, but yeah, so totally opposite ends of the planet right now, really, to be honest. It's just the States, but you're freezing cold, just got into the positives, and I'm in shorts and flip-flops. So what else?
Bayou from the tundra.
That's beautifully said. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's going on with y'all up there, like in Alaska specifically, with the Libertarian Party and all that?
Yeah. So I've recently started engaging with the Alaska Libertarian Party up here. One of the things that we've done is we've drafted up a bill that we're trying to get sponsorship for, and pretty much with all the executive orders and announcements coming from, President Biden, we want to put a stop to that affecting us up here in Alaska, especially with, the Second Amendment stuff coming out. But it also covers other things too, like health mandates and such. So that's recently I put that out there. I didn't write it myself. There are other people in the Libertarian Party that posted it, but encouraging people to call up their representatives and like, hey, let's have some barriers between us and the federal government. I mean, Washington is how many thousands of miles away from us, and we have such a different lifestyle that we don't want to be governed by people, thousands of miles away.
Yeah. So like literally today, and I didn't say anything to you, but on my radio, I listen to a lot of AM and podcasts and all that, but down here on my AM radio, your governor came across the wire. Yeah,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was your governor saying that he was going to make Alaska a Second Amendment state.
Yeah, so we're known as a gun sanctuary state.
Sanctuary, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So, so our Governor Dunleavy, there's a lot of stuff he does that I like. I don't agree with everything he does, but he does, some good things that are noteworthy, such as we're a gun sanctuary state. And pretty much, if the federal government comes in and is infringing on our Second Amendment rights, state employees and law enforcement don't have to aid them. They'll stand by. It's like, you want to come in here and infringe on our Second Amendment rights, you're going to have to do it all yourself. We're not going to help you, which I think is pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's a great start. There are several states. I know South Carolina is like actually really doing a big deal of it, not just making that state a sanctuary Second Amendment state. But from what I heard and read, it was they were making themselves like a militia, basically, like so like everybody could be
Yeah.
armed. Yeah. It's actually been a law there for a long time, but they've wrote some more amendments. I know the senator there. I listened to it live, which is very cool. So, but the first thing we have to do is what y'all are doing, and that's make it a sanctuary state for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's definitely the first step. So pretty much like we're not going to help you with this. And then I think the next step after that is like, not just calling them out on it. It's like, you can't do this. You can't be making all these laws that are infringing on the Second Amendment. That's just, especially when Biden said that like amendments aren't like absolute. That's a
Right.
pretty intimidating thing to hear from our nation's leader, that these things aren't protected. It's like, excuse me?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that. You were asking me about Biden's appointee for the ATF, and I put it down there AFT, LOL,
Yeah.
especially because that was hilarious.
Yeah, Biden calling it the AFT multiple times, not just once.
Multiple times.
Even though he's reading off of a teleprompter. So, anyways, the AFT man that he appointed, Mr. Chipman, I believe his name is quite how do I put this? So it's a very troubling appointee that he has, especially with his past. Just last year, he actually admitted that he was part of the Wacko event, which a lot of people know as an event where several people perished, innocent lives, including 25 children, due to a fire that was started by FBI officials. So very controversial event, and to admit that he was part of it. And also he had stated multiple lies about the event, saying that the Davidians actually shot down 2 helicopters. And it's like, that's a big thing to lie about. That did not happen. So it's very troubling for sure to hear that he was appointing such a controversial person.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if he even knows who he's appointing, right? I mean, he can't even put 2 sentences together. I feel like somebody's just saying, "Hey, hire this person," and he's like, "Yeah, okay. What other choice do I have?"
You mean he's just a puppet, and there's actually a puppet master behind him?
Hey, you said it, not me.
But anyways, yes, it is very troubling that
Yeah.
can barely make 2 minutes going through the presentation saying he's going to appoint for AFT. And then another thing about Chipman II is he's also been known as very much a gun control advocate. So it almost has this feeling of the fox is in charge of the hen house now. He wants to go after guns, and now he's in charge of alcohol, firearms, and tobacco.
Nice.
So
very nice. Yeah. I don't think that's by any mistake. I just, I do have an issue with how they're going to be able to pull this off legally. That would be very difficult. So I'm kind of waiting. Obviously, I can't stand the pick. I hate the establishment already. There should be no ATF, like I said earlier,
sure.
unless it was a convenience store. So
for sure, there's multiple events that have made it so that the ATF has been an abusive organization and is not doing what it was meant to do. There isn't just the Wacko event, there's the Ruby Ridge event, and there's many other times where they have been very abusive with their power. And that's actually kind of part of what brought me into the libertarian movement, not the firearm side, even though, now it definitely is a thing, but also the alcohol side. And that's my entrepreneur type side. So
really talk about that.
Yeah. So what's really funny is I was looking through my Facebook memories and I saw from a couple years ago, I had posted, starting a business makes you become a libertarian faster than anything else. And here I am today. So I want to start a meadery. And for those that don't know, mead is a honey wine. So it's essentially like a wine, but the main ingredient is honey. And so I was like, oh, I want to do this. I'm very passionate. I make a lot of this stuff myself at home. And so when I was going through all the stuff that you need to do, all these rules, I was like, why is this here? Like, why do you have to pay this? Why is it so expensive? There was just so much in the way of me starting a business. I'm like, where did all this come from? And doing more research about it. So just to put an example out there, let's say I want to make a raspberry mead. Okay, so I have to go through and write down my recipe. I have to pay a fee and send it to ATF, and they have to approve it. Well, they're very stingy about recipes. So, like, let's say I want to use a specific type of honey. Like, I want to use orange blossom honey because there's actually specific types of honey. Well, if I just wrote down orange blossom honey, they're going to deny my recipe. And I have to go through the whole process again and send my recipe back, wording it correctly. They want me to use honey derived from orange blossoms. Each time you have to pay them money, and it takes months. So this is time that I want to start my mead going because you have to age it and everything. It can take a long time, but I can't get started till this recipe is good to go. And I have to get it done right the first time if I want to save time. So just stuff like that. And then also on top of that, you may have something approved, but then later on they can change their mind. And it's happened a lot with breweries and wineries, distilleries, where they have like a label approved, a recipe approved. They're like, all right, let's go. And then they're like, oh, wait, actually, we changed our mind. You can't do that. And it's like, are you serious? What? So they can do that. And I think that's just absurd and abusive.
Absolutely, 100%. That's incredibly intrusive into your personal life and business. That is impeding on your ability to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. 100%. That's brutal. I mean, that would make anybody I know libertarian. I mean,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Yeah, and that's just one example. There was just a whole grocery list of examples. I'm like, what is going on? So that is basically what sent me headfirst into the libertarian movement. And I still would like to make a meadery at some point when I'm ready to go. I've been doing a lot of research on it still, but holy cow, the paperwork, the fees, the amount of just government stuff, not even anything business related, is just, it's so much work. It takes years to get it going.
That's just utterly ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous. That is a big reason that I'm libertarian. That nonsense right there. It's just, I'm already rebellious. I'm already rebellious.
Yeah.
So, God, that taps me. So, look, obviously, like every other show, or every other show, there's only been two. Lord of mercy, there's only been two, right? But
Yeah.
I always advertise and I'll share them to groups. And there was somebody, and I hope they're watching because I asked them to. And they said that the term Eskimo was racist. And I found that on its face utterly ridiculous and a waste of energy. So will you please explain your situation, your stance on that?
Yeah, so I've actually heard this multiple times since starting my page, that the term Eskimo is racist. I had never heard that until I went down to the lower 48 for college. And like, isn't that a racist term? Aren't you Inuit? And I'm like, well, it's not racist, and I'm not Inuit. There's actually like three major groups that are considered Eskimo. There's Yupik, which is what I am, Inupiaq, and Inuit. And Inuit is like more the Canadian region. Inupiaq is the northern part of Alaska, what we call the North Slope region, going into like Nome and all that. And then Yupik is on the western coast, where you see like Bethel. That's the big city over there. Big city. And so it's, so what a lot of people think is that the term Eskimo is a slur that means someone who eats raw meat. I've heard that, which actually isn't true. The term Eskimo is derived from, I believe, French, which means, and it means someone who laces up their snowshoes. That's what it means. Someone who laces up their snowshoes. So, which is kind of cute, you know. And additionally, as a racial slur, I've never heard it said at me in a negative tone. I've never heard it used in a negative tone. You know, if anything, I've always heard it as something cute. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Bobo. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and I've always been proud to be an Eskimo. You know, I've heard my elders say to be proud to be an Eskimo. If you
Right.
don't want to call me an Eskimo, if it makes you uncomfortable, you can call me Yupik. I am not Inuit,
Right.
but yeah, it's definitely something that well, and then another thing I like to add is that I don't like being lectured to uh, by other people saying how I should be offended. I feel like that is just such a negative energy to be spreading to people, like trying to inform people how you should be offended. You know,
Right.
it's like there's already enough controversy and there's already enough negativity out there. People are already upset. You know, I don't need to be hurt by these words. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't hurt me. So
Yeah. Right. And so, like we talked before, at the end of the day, that's really just a waste of energy anyway. While we get
yes.
caught up in this nonsense, we have so much bigger troubles to worry about. But I still wanted to talk about it because I really believe I'd heard about it maybe, a while back, and maybe once, like something crazy. But I really wanted you to talk about it because that on its face seemed absolutely dumb to me. Looking for a reason to just be an antagonist is what it sounds like to me. But I didn't know, and that's why I asked. And so,
Yeah, for sure. And like I've never heard any other Eskimos that are offended by this term. I've only heard from other races that I shouldn't call myself an Eskimo. And it's like, why can't I? Why can't I call myself what I want to be called? You know,
yeah.
it's so negative.
Yeah. I mean, I've been called coon ass my whole life. I'm sure that's racist now. I,
I don't even know what that means.
Me neither. I don't know either. And that's what I am. I just went with it. I'm a coon ass. That means I'm Cajun. Like, I'm from South Louisiana. My grandfather, you could probably barely understand. You know,
That's
I'm
definitely
very
foreign
Cajun.
territory to me.
Yeah, I'm very Cajun. So, but I guess, whatever. I'll be a coon ass. I don't care. I'm not wasting my time and my mental space on that kind of stuff. We have bigger issues to deal with. And like you were talking about with the Biden pick. I
For
mean,
sure.
look, there's a good thank you, Randy. Uh-oh.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about living in California, honestly. I've visited California. Uh, I know how to live in Alaska.
I have no idea either.
But I do think it's really important that you do get involved with your local government and elected officials. And something that people don't really know is that it's not just lawmakers that can write bills. Um, Individuals, anyone that's an American citizen can write these bills and they can find a
Yeah.
sponsor through their local government. So if you want something done differently in your local area, you do have to get involved.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can say for that comment, Randy.
Now, look, let's piggyback off of that because that's actually a great segue into something I wanted to ask you. And I hear this a lot, like, how do we get started? What do I do? I'm fired up about the liberty movement. I'm like, dude, do something. I don't
Yeah.
know what's that. I just get into the comment sections and then I made this page and then here we are now. So just do something. So I want to talk about your massive success, like real. That I watched it firsthand. I watched you grow the first time, and then, give us that whole story if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So I kind of started back in like August.
Yeah,
Uh, Pretty much what started it is like I was seeing everything going on with the presidential election. I'm like, there's got to be another option. And so I actually went out and looked at other parties. It's like, well, these can't be the only two on the ballot. And so at first I did see Howie Hawkins, and I'm like, okay, here's someone, Green Party. I like to be environmentally conscious. I was looking at his platform, and there were a couple of things I did agree with him. But there were other stuff I'm like, well, I don't think that's actually green for our planet. I don't agree with this. I'm like, well, I don't want to vote for him. And then I saw Jo Jorgensen. I read more up on her, and I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. And the more I looked at it, the more I got involved. And I wanted other people to know about it. So I figured the best way was through humor.
Yeah.
And I started making memes, because talking about politics, it can be so hostile. If you can make someone laugh, it kind of eases the tension, and we can start a conversation. And if you still, if you don't have a sense of humor, I don't want to talk with you.
Right.
So that's why I started to make some memes. I made a couple of them. I shared them to like a Jo Jorgensen group, and my first one got like 7,000 shares. And I was like, oh, wow.
Wow.
All right. So what I decided to do is I decided to make a page to just keep dumping my memes onto. It's like, you guys want to share these? All right, here's like the source, here's some OC content. And more of these things started getting shared, and I started getting followers. I'm like, this is kind of exciting. People like were commenting like, I didn't know about her, or even messaging me like, I didn't know we had a third option. It's like, yeah, we do. So it was really exciting. And then well, I should say too, my page was called Mama Jojo's Freedom Memes. That was my first page.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I even branched out onto Instagram, and then like these pages were being shut down. And I was like, uh-oh. And then mine got shut down. And I was like, what is this? Like, excuse me, I've never heard of this happening. And then people were being censored. I know at some point I wasn't even allowed to share stuff. Like, it was saying I was like, they were preventing spamming, and I'm like, I'm just trying to share a picture of my daughter. Like, and they deleted my personal account, and I lost like some pictures of my baby girl, and I was like, what did this? My profile is just so innocent, it's pictures of me, my daughter exploring Alaska, like, but they shut me down. And so yeah, it was crazy. And then there was a lot of hostility with, as we approached the election, and that hostility was coming at me. I was getting messages, and people were commenting and just being absolutely nasty to me. And I was like, what is going on? What is wrong with people? So I actually took a little bit of a break from Facebook before I started up again the Eskimo Libertarian page and built up from there.
When you quit, well, let's say you took a sabbatical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were your followers at when you took your sabbatical?
Well, what do you mean by that? Oh man, I was approaching that 10,000 mark before my page got like shut down on Facebook, and then on Instagram I was above the 2,000 mark. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember exactly. I was getting a bunch. I was just starting to like really snowball on the Instagram page, so I had a few thousand followers, which it was crazy, but just shut down.
Yeah. So you had about 10,000. I remember that, and then it was just gone. And then you decided to come back, and now you're at like it's got to be close or over 13,000. And so
yeah.
That's
and
really
I'm on.
incredible.
Yeah, I decided, like, I don't know, I haven't been shut down yet. I have been censored quite a few times. Like, I'll have like a full 24 hours where I can't post anything, can't comment, share, nothing. And there's no notifications. It just shows up as an error message. And there's no reasoning given. In fact, recently I was actually censored for a full week over my birthday. I was like, happy birthday to me. So
Wow.
it was crazy. I kept checking in each day and it was like, yep, error, you don't have the permissions. And it would show that I was just a moderator and I wasn't an admin of my own page. And I would try to change that. And it's like, you don't have the permissions. I'm like, I don't have the permissions of my own page.
I had the same thing happen to me. I started this personal profile, and then I started the page, and I started another page, and then was admin of a couple of groups, and then like right after this page started really getting attention, boom, they spammed me, and I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. All I could do was post from Cajun Libertarian profile. I couldn't do anything anywhere else. It was telling me that I wasn't allowed to that at this time, that they were monitoring how many times I posted a day, but I
Yeah.
couldn't post for like 2 months.
Yeah. It's crazy the amount of effort that's put into censorship for like anything other than like the two-party system, because it's not just libertarians I've also seen Green
Right.
Party folks that have been censored, or Constitutional Party. There's multiple other parties out there that people don't realize, and there's these censorships going across and there's no reasoning given, and it's kind of, it should be throwing up red flags. A lot of people like to talk about Facebook being a private company, but they also say that they're a platform and use the benefits of being a public platform on top of being a private company, and they switch back and forth. I know when they had the hearings with Mark Zuckerberg, he would say that they were going back and forth between those two terms when it benefited them. So
That's actually an astute point right there, because that, for me, that I'm gonna be honest, that's a hard topic to tackle when you're talking about repealing Section 230 and what it's a tough one between private business and what the government's doing involved with those major platforms, social media. Yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. That's a complicated issue right there. I don't know that anybody. I know a lot of people want to say they have all the right answers, but I know I don't. I don't know
well,
about that.
yeah, and when I think about like how big Facebook has gotten, and people think like it's some massive monster that you can't defeat, and so now it just rules everything.
Right.
Um, I remember, so back in September, Joe Jorgensen actually visited Alaska, and I went to her rally and I heard her talk, and she actually talked about, I believe it was AIG. Was it AIG? Oh no, IBM. She was talking about IBM
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how back in like the 80s, it was pretty much like how Facebook is now. It's just this big, mean
Yeah.
monster. No one can ever defeat it. Now look at IBM today.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
have been other competitions that have been coming in, chipping away at it, providing better service, faster service, better prices, and having all this competition actually brought IBM down. And then also the market that they're in is now much more affordable, for you and me. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
like back then, these IBM machines took up multiple rooms and only huge companies could buy these computers. Now, like you and me have a computer. So
Yeah. 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 That brings something. We didn't talk about this, but that's cool. What is your thoughts on the pipeline getting shut down?
the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so I think something to note real quick is that people get the Keystone Pipeline mixed up with the Dakota Access Pipeline, which they're two different pipelines. There was massive protests for the Dakota Access Pipeline, and so that's a separate issue. But for the Keystone, this was on land that they had actually bought. It wasn't on Native American land if you look at the maps, and also how do I put it? So if you look at pipelines, so my background is chemical engineering. I should put that out there. If you look at pipelines, there are far less accidents than when it comes to shipping things by other means. Trucks is like the alternative in this case.
And trains.
And yeah, and trains. So if you look at the carbon footprint, the accidents that happen, and everything involved,
Yeah.
it's a safer, more environmentally
Yeah.
friendly system than other means. So by shutting down the pipeline, you're not removing how much people are using up the resource. So now the resource is going to come from other places, or it's going to be coming in through different means that aren't as environmentally friendly. So I think if you want to be environmentally conscious, the biggest thing is you have to cut down on the demand. We have a supply and demand sort of society, and cutting down the supply does not shut down the demand. And so this is done by individual efforts and also done by the dollar. Do your research about who you're actually buying stuff from. Are they doing things environmentally friendly in ways that you agree with? Support those people. Don't support, a big example is we have trawl fishing up here in Alaska. And that is, so like if you buy a fillet of fish or something from McDonald's, that fish is from up in Alaska. Trawl fishing has been so damaging to our environment and has actually been significantly cutting down on our halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish populations to the point where like it's actually affecting subsistence way of life up here in Alaska. So really affecting the native population, anyone else that is subsistence fishing up here. How it works is pretty much a ship drops down this net. It's this big, huge, massive net with weights at the bottom, and it drags it across the ocean, catches everything in its path. So let's say they're going out there and they're trying to get, the big one is pollock. So they go out there, they get the pollock. Well, they have all this bycatch. And according to government regulations, they have to toss it overboard. It's already dead. You can eat it. It's definitely edible, and there's definitely a market for it. But because of government regulations, they're not allowed to bring it back, and they toss it overboard. Another thing, they do have to record how much their bycatch is, but if you look at the ships, only 10% of the ships actually have an official counter on them. The other 90%, the captain has to report it. So it's self-reported. Even still, the environmental impact is undeniable. And so that's why I tell people don't go to McDonald's because, you want to be environmentally conscious, do it with your dollar. That's how you do it here in America.
That's amazing because I didn't construct this show to be anything. We just started it and I'm letting it evolve. And what it's evolved into is people like you explaining to people like us how to do things on a grassroots level. And that's what everybody's looking for. There's a lot of people in yours and mine's comment section that want to be involved. They're fired up. They want to be engaged and they don't know how. And this is turning into like a seminar of how to do that. And just major success from major people, 3 amazing people in a row telling us exactly what we need to do to make a change in our communities. And that's amazing to me.
Yeah, that's what I really hope to do. That's the main reason I have this page. I really hope my message does get out there and it does make a difference, even if it changes a couple of minds or, if I can pass along information, I feel accomplished.
Yeah. Well, you are very accomplished and we're big voice of liberty. A lot of people know you and we're going to keep moving towards that. And in fact, moving towards that, I want you to tell us about the gold rush in Alaska.
Yeah, so we have this event that's being put on by the Alaska Libertarian Party. And if you're like me, you're really considering like running for office, but you don't know how, it can be intimidating not to know how. We're having this Gold Rush seminar, and it's going to go over pretty much everything you need to know to hit the ground running. So everything from fundraising, petitioning, and other steps involved, even like how to have a social media presence is going to be covered. And so it's a all-day event. You can attend it in person or virtually. So it's open to everyone in America. You don't have to be up here in Alaska, even though it's going to be really fun up here. And some big speakers are going to be there is Apollo Pizzell, and he's involved with the Libertarian National Committee operations up there, or in the nationally. And the keynote speaker is going to be Spike Cohen himself. So he will be there and talking about like the mentality of winning, you know, how he has a show talking with successful libertarian candidates that have been elected into spots. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be there. I'm going to try and learn as much as I can and make more of a final decision as to what I want to do and how I want to get involved. And yeah, if you want to find out more, the Alaska Libertarian Party Facebook page and their website has more information about who all is going to be there, the times, location, price, how to register, and all that. So
yeah, that's going to be a pretty big event, right?
Yeah, so last I heard there's like 40 people signed up at least, and there's going to be over 20 people in person that are going to be there. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I'm hearing of that a lot in a lot of states. The traffic is just picking up in our direction, rightfully so. I mean, it's a late start. We should have been here. We should have never left. So, but I personally ordered 2 T-shirts, and if you can look back there,
let's see. Yeah, my own Gadsden design. Yeah. It's a little logo that I drew up. I decided to just make a brand and sell some funny gear. You know, I think it's cute.
Yeah,
it's iconic.
Well, I absolutely love the avatar. I think it's amazing. I think everything about it is amazing. I think just the whole concept of it, you know, it's just another way that you're being libertarian, and a lot of people, I think, appreciate that. And you should definitely go support Eskimo Libertarian. Not to brag, I did. I bought T-shirts. But, you know, we need to lift each other up right now. And this is an awesome way. I mean, this is just entrepreneurship. This is ingenuity. This is the American dream of people going and just doing what they can and grabbing the most out of it.
For sure. And hopefully, you know, like we can add a little more humor into our movement and it draws more people in. I mean, that's what I try to do. I try to like ease the tension. There's already so much tension in politics, like I've said before. And so anyway, we can ease that tension to start the conversation. That's what I try to do.
Yeah. So that's what I tell people all the time. Like, you know, I get a lot of, you know, whatever nonsense, I guess, or preaching about, if you're going to be a voice and a leader, you need to ditch the memes. And there's multiple of you, so don't get offended. If you know I'm calling you out, it's fine. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's how we communicate. And our political atmosphere is toxic. We need funny. We need it.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. It's like, what have you done for the libertarian movement other than make memes, you know? And I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked. I'm actually going to the Gold Rush events, and I use that as a segue to like, this is what I'm doing, you know? And I also suggest other ways that they can get involved. You know, I try to, you know, reduce the toxicity because it comes at me. Most of the time I ignore it, but there's other ways I try to be like, okay, buddy, like, you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. But if you just want to be a troll, I mean, go back under your bridge. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, but you're going to have trolls. That's just part of it. So a lot of that's going to be the way we react to them. Now, I let them have it in the comments section. Like, you know, if you come in all crazy and sideways like that, they're going to drag you. So, yeah.
You have thicker skin than me then. I have soft feelings sometimes.
Oh, I do too, no doubt. But yeah, no, a lot of it I just opt out of because I know they'll handle it. You know, the family will take care of that nonsense. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. That's what's so amazing about what we're doing right now, is that we're all coming together in this one big family, and we're trying to squash this nonsense of you're not a real libertarian garbage. And we've got work to do. Please stop it. We got to move in one direction as one unit. We're going to disagree along the way. That's the part of libertarianism, but we have to move forward. And you're like a major part of that. Like, for real, since the Jorgensen, yeah, you're welcome. Since the Jorgensen thing, it's been absolutely, you know, balls to the wall for you. And I think that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's like, I know when I get censored, there's like that silver lining. It's like, oh, I get to take a little bit of a break, I guess. Maybe I'll make a couple memes. There isn't the pressure to make some every day, But
Right.
yeah, it's something I've become very passionate about. And I really hope that we can, strike the movement while the iron is hot, and keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, that's perfectly said. Keep it going. Strike while the iron's hot. We have movement right now. We have wind. We have gas. So let's not let up. Let's do what we got to do. And I'm sure every one of y'all are following Eskimo Libertarian's page, but if you're not following her page, then obviously go follow her page, visit her website, and let's keep our foot on the gas and stay tuned because she's going to be right back very soon. But I'm not going to reveal any of that yet. So
Okay.
So thank you very much. You are so awesome, and we'll talk to you very soon.
All right. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. All right, bye.
All right.
All right. So for all of you that couldn't catch it, there's going to be a lot of you that have to work and all that. I'm still working on an RSS for podcasts and everything. But it is live streamed on YouTube. So you can go and like and subscribe, and you can keep that right there. And then as we get going more and more, we'll add to the platforms, and I'll be sure to let y'all know where we're going. You're definitely not going to want to miss anything that Eskimo Libertarian has to say, and she's going to be on a lot of things, a lot more. We're all going to be doing a lot more right now. We're putting our foot to the gas. We're not letting up. So stay tuned. Go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and then share this video because she's brilliant and has a lot of things to say. Y'all have a good weekend. I'm glad the power didn't get cut off. All right, love y'all. Bye.